Okay, picking up where we left off, we just finished having the machine produce the references for us using the bibliography portion. So Mark, if you pick the right style, APA 6th edition, you're pretty much well guaranteed that the machine's going to take care of all that detail. This is the toughest part of APA, is their references and citations are just mind-boggling. But using the software, you don't have to do anything other than pick a few things and you're done. So this is very cool way to do APA. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is another one of those oddities with APA, and that is we're going to do a table. Now, I'll admit this is really if you're following along in the book, this is in ChapterWD2, so I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but bear with me. So the first thing I need to do is I need to create a blank page, because those tables come after the references. Once again, I'm just going to hold the control key down and hit enter, doink, right? Okay. And if I want to insert a table, it's going to be under the Insert tab. That kind of makes sense. So under Insert, and here's Table. And of course, it has one of those cool little pull downs. We love those cool little pull down arrows. So I click on this guy, and I can see, for example, how many rows and columns this thing's going to be. Isn't that pretty cool? I can say, well, okay, I want a 4x4. All right, cool. And then I'll let go. So I'm just, I'm just hovering over this. I'm not clicking or holding the mouse or anyway. So I go to 4x4 and I say okay, and so I just click. Okay, so now I have some sort of table, but let me put some data in it first. So let's say, for example, this is January, February, March, and over here is, I don't know, name, John, Sue, and Mary, and I don't know, age is 42 and 12 and 99. I guess I need another one. How about shoe size? Shoe size is, I don't know, 9.5. And Sue has little feet and Mary has monstrous feet. Okay, so now I have some sort of a table with some data in it. Alright. First of all, I have to format this guy so that APA kind of sort of likes him. And you'd be surprised. One of the rules is APA does not like any vertical lines. Okay? No vertical lines in their tables. Why? I'm not exactly certain. I'm not sure I could tell you. But if you click inside here, I get this tab, right? One of those visiting tabs. Comes in a different color. Like when you're doing graphics, it has a graphics one. Well, this is that one. And one of the things you can do is you can either design it, and I think it would be, wouldn't it be sweet if down here there was an APA sample here I could just pick from. There really isn't one. I can get kind of sort of close, but let me show you how you can get, well, nah, let's don't do that. All right, here we go. All right, so the rules for this is you should have a line at the top that goes all the way across, a line at the bottom that goes all the way across, no vertical. So I have to make some of the vertical lines go away. And this is a little weird. There's a little guy here for borders. See up here? And so what cell I'm in determines whether or not I get something, okay? So in this case, the only border that I want is the top border, okay? So I've got lots of things selected. Cool? Well, the easiest way to fix it is to tell, I want to temporarily say I want no border, and then go back and tell it I want the top border, because I have to turn things off and turn them on. See? So I go here, and once again I want to do the same thing. I'm going to go here and I'm going to get rid of all the borders. Now that's kind of weird, huh? So in this section down here, I only want to keep the bottom one. Remember? So why don't I light up more than one? Rather than doing them one at a time like I did before, I just light up. Now how I lift them up, it's kind of complex. I just put the cursor inside here and I just drag, okay? So now I've lit up a bunch of cells. And so of those cells, what I want to do is I want to go here and I want to turn off everything. And then it's still selected. And I go here and I want the bottom border. Cool? Alright. Now, all these guys, so I'm just going to light these guys up. I don't want any border whatsoever now. Okay? So once again, go here and I say no border. Alright, that was kind of confusing, wasn't it? Because I had to go through and turn borders on and off. one at a time is kind of painful and it's kind of messed up. And now I can go in and do. So there's one more thing that they want you to do, is they want you to have a border, but a horizontal line between the heading and the data. But it's not all the way across. It's just this piece. Okay, now there's two ways you could do this. I can select this row and tell it that I want a line at the bottom. That'll work. I can select this row and tell it I want a line at the top. Doesn't matter. It all comes out the same. So I go here to borders and I say only the top. Okay, that is an APA file format for doing tables. I know, it's really kind of crazy. Now you're going to need some more stuff in here. You're going to need some text that says like table 1, and somewhere in the document you're going to have to reference table 1. But that's not what we're here about here. We're about how to make tables in Microsoft Word. Now, I know that looks crazy, doesn't it? Right? But that's the way they do it. So hey, once again, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just telling you how you can use Microsoft Word to make some of this stuff come out really cool. Okay, let's do a little bit more tweaking to this table. Let's say, for example, that you wanted to add an extra row. So right there at shoe size, I want to add a row. Select a row, and I can kind of sort of get that way like doing this, right? I've selected a row, kind of, sort of, almost. I can do a right click, and I can say insert, and I can tell it I want to insert a row above or below where I'm at. Now I'm going to do below for no particular reason, okay? Just because. And the reason I'm doing it is because it's going to mess up my border and I'm going to have to fix it, so what the hell. Boom. Cool. So I've added a new row. And so in shoe size, now we can have, I don't know, something short, hobby. And it's, whatever their hobbies are. Cool? Okay, so that was adding a row. Okay, so I want to delete this because it was just junk. So I could light up the entire thing and do a right click and say delete cells. Now I really don't want to delete the cells. So when I click this, it says, what would you like me to do? Well, I would like you to delete the entire row. That's what I want. Cool? So okay. Well, now it's messed up my table. Doggone it. So how do we do that again? Well, I light up the guys that are at the bottom, and I go back to here, turn the border, and I say I want the bottom this time. The bottom. Cool? So that's adding and deleting. It works the same thing with columns. If I grab this and kind of go down and do a right click, I can say insert a column to the left, insert a column to the right, or delete a column, those kind of things. Kind of cool? Okay. So that's practically everything you need to know about doing APA tables. Okay. A couple more things and we'll be done with the APA, at least for a short time. And that is, we're going to do figures. So once again, I need a new page. So I'm just right where I'm at. I'm just going to do Control Enter. Doink. So now I've got a new page. And so I want to have some sort of a figure that I'm going to add. So the way it works is you basically have to give it a name. Like figure 1. Except, of course, I need to... okay, so I have to go up here and grab this guy and make the indent go away. Cool. Figure 1. Give me a return to get a blank line. And now I want to insert a photograph of some sort. Except, since we did photographs last time, this time we're going to do clip art. Alright. It's still basically the same operation. I go to insert. And it says, what would you like to insert? Well, picture is what we did last time. This time we're going to use clip art. Now, clip art is typically lightweight. You don't have to worry about the sizes on clip art. So here's the clip art gallery. And you type in a word like people and do a search, and it's going to give you lots of things. Now, there's several ways you can make a clip art appear. One is you can just double click, and it'll just magically appear wherever the cursor is. That's cool. The other is you can kind of drag and drop this guy where you want him. So, for example, I want him right there, right, that kind of stuff. Okay, so I've got some sort of clip art. So in the APA world, you also have to tell it what this thing is. So down at the bottom, I say, this is a photo of something. Okay, so not only do you have to have a figure at the top, you have to have some sort of a caption, so to speak. Now, I could have used the caption capability. Remember how before we had the thing we said insert caption? But that would have turned on the little figure one thing, and I want my figure ones to be at the top, not at the bottom. And I wanted it separated, I want the figure at the top and the description at the bottom. And I don't have one of those here. So I just had to do it manually. Cool? So this is APA format for doing photographs, charts, things that, things that are not text related. So figure means a photograph, for example. Okay. All right. That's basically all you need to know about how to use Microsoft Word to do those kinds of things associated with APA. This is not an APA course. If it did, I'd be talking about the cover page and the abstract and the rules for there's no indentation on the first paragraph of an abstract and things of that nature, and that's not what we're doing here. So I put some stuff out there on the supplemental materials part of Blackboard. So if you go to Blackboard, go to supplemental material, there's this really cool PDF. It is kind of a cheat sheet of everything you ever wanted to know about APA but were afraid to ask. It's actually a pretty doggone cool document. They talk about margin and double space and indents and fonts and justification and the running head across the top, page numbers, titles, and the fact that the title information is supposed to be in the top half of the page, that kind of stuff. They talk about how the running head is only used on the first page, and the abstract comes the first page by itself, but there's no indent for the abstract. Why? I have no idea. Every other paragraph in the entire document has a first line indent except for the abstract guy. Whatever. And then talk about the headings and multiple heading types and how to do the citations. Anyway, it's a pretty doggone cool little document. Lots and lots of examples on how to do citations. But again, using Microsoft Word, I don't have to worry about those kinds of things. Cool? Okay. Let me just close this guy down. Okay. So we're essentially done with the APA portion of this, but we still have a couple more things we need to do. And that is, again, this has got nothing to do with the APA, but let's say I want to go into this table and I want to tweak it and I want to make it prettier. So, for example, let's say that I like a shaded background for my headings for whatever reason. So, just like before when we lit this up to change the lines, I can also go in here and change lots of other things. Well, right here is this thing called shading, okay? And once again, it has a down arrow. And I can pick a color. And I normally pick kind of neutral colors, like a shade of gray or something. That's just me. As the one I have across the top. Also, when I'm doing with these guys, I often make the headings bold and then centered in their columns. That's just something that I like to do. So we can use the same tools that we used before when we were doing paragraphs. You remember when we selected text in a paragraph and we wanted to make it bold? Well, that's how you do it. And again, remember how we selected paragraphs and we wanted to make them centered? Well, it's the same thing here. We just pretend like this is a paragraph. Well, it actually cells in a table, but hey, come on. It's kind of cool. So you hit the button. So now they all line up. Now, most people like the text to be left justified, but they want the numbers to be right justified. Make sense? Okay. So these guys, I want to change. Whoops, let me select the right ones. These guys I want to change, and I want to change their justification. Remember how we had left justification and right justification and center and full, right? Well, here what I want to do is I want to change the justification to be right justification. Doink. And so now it looks pretty bad because the table spacing is off. So let me tweak the table spacing here real quick. So I'm going to grab this again. I'm just going to grab anywhere in here so I can get these little borders to show up. See how they have a little fat spot? If I grab the fat spot, I can pull the entire table and change the entire size of a column. Isn't that pretty cool? Okay. All right, this is a good place to start for the 15-minute mark. We'll pick this thing up again in just a few.